Hey, what's up? We are back. Today we are talking about what do you do when someone you love dies suddenly and you are struck with anxiety, you're struck with depression, and you just don't know where to turn. I'm responding to an email that I got from Patrick, and it's a beauty. Here we go. Dr. D, I recently found you and your material through the Dave Ramsey podcast. I've been a huge Dave follower for many years, and my wife and I have had tremendous success following Dave's plan. Our financials couldn't be in a better position at this point in time. However, I've been struggling with some personal issues, mainly with anxiety and now seemingly depression. A few years ago, my father passed away suddenly at the age of 65. That's young, man. That sucks. I'm sorry. At that time, I was deeply saddened, but I thought I was handling it well because I'm a believer in Christ and understood that this is the heartbreaks of life. We're going to come back to that. Shortly after his passing, I developed anxiety with a sudden panic attack out of nowhere. I literally thought I was having a heart attack. It's common and it sucks. It's no good, man. Sorry. I was examined by a physician and everything turned out to be okay with my health. However, the anxiety never really stopped. It would come and go. So after much struggle, I took charge and was determined to defeat this anxiety. I continued a strong workout regimen, I cleaned up my diet, and I even reduced my social alcohol consumption to almost zero. That's not very fun. For weeks, I was anxiety-free! Exclamation point. It feels good when you're on one of those highs, right? Then the depression started to rear its head. I started having unusual thoughts and I couldn't even believe it. I'm a very fun, loving, energetic person, and at times I feel like my mojo has been sucked out of me. I've continued to exercise, eat healthy, pray, express gratitude. While all these things work and lift me up, I still find myself sinking at times. I'm in the process of trying to get one of my true passions going and possibly transition to a career of personal training. I feel like I've mourned my father's death, and my only other thought to where this depression is coming from is lack of fulfillment at my job. If you have any other thoughts on my situation, I would be open to hearing from you. Dude, Patrick, this is an awesome email. Millions of people are going through this right now. So I want to thank you for the courage for writing. I want to thank you for your courage on seeing something that was going on in your head, in your heart, and in your ecosystem, and you immediately started trying to solve it through gratitude, through exercise, diet, all of the things that often the internet tells us and new counselors might tell us to do. High five to you for giving it a go. So a quick recap. Your dad dies suddenly, 65. That is too young to lose our old man. You're a Christian and you have the intellectual knowledge that, hey, people die, that's part of life, it happens. And so you've got a picture of your old man in heaven. You've got the intellectual awareness to know that's life. It sucks, but it is, and I'm going to keep on plowing forward. Suddenly your body shuts down, right? Via panic attack. That's when your body's like, hey, you're not getting our messages, so we're out. And your body just locks you down. You took charge. You started exercising regularly. You super cleaned up your diet. You even quit drinking for fun, just hanging out with people, right? You went to the ultimate default of control, control, control. And then your thoughts became intrusive. And suddenly you'd catch yourself having thoughts that you'd never thought before. And they probably scared you, freaked you out a little bit. Whoa, what was that? Get out of here. Whoa, that's not a good idea to be thinking that, right? And they start coming more regularly and they get a little more scary and a little more scary. And what a panic attack does is it freaks you out, right? Because you lose control of your body. You get betrayed by your own body. But then when you start having intrusive thoughts, you start getting betrayed by your own mind. And that gets scary. Patrick, I picked this email because I've been there. And I know that feeling of grinding and trying and powering through, and your feet are kicking, and you're trying to be like the steady duck on top of the water, but you're slowly getting dragged under, and you don't know where it's coming from. So here's a couple of things I want to talk through with Patrick and with everyone else listening to this. Number one, what death shows us is that we are not in control. None of us get out of this thing alive. We all die in the end. And for many of us, that sets off our alarms when we start thinking about it, or when the world shows us abruptly through the loss of someone that we love dearly. Number two, your dad died suddenly. He died too young. We're not supposed to lose our old men overnight at the age of 65. It's not the way we want to do it. And just because you have a spiritual foundation and an intellectual foundation, you know this happens, and you're a Christian, you have a faith component to your life, doesn't mean that your body and your mind and your heart and your spirit don't have to grieve this. You have not sat in the sadness in the loss. You haven't sat down in that totally powerless exhale of losing somebody that you love. You experienced the ultimate loss, and you responded by hustling to the one thing that we're all trained to do, which is to try to fix it, solve it, and control it. Anxiety is not something that you can defeat or control or suffocate. It's an alarm system. It's a story. It's trying to tell you something. My guess is that you are completely disconnected, that you are alone in a crowded room, in a crowded house, surrounded by people who love you. And so at this stage, Patrick, when you've done all the physical things, but you don't have the tools for how to grieve, how to just sit in it, not bathe in it, but how to sit in sadness and own this loss of control and own this loss of loved one, you need to go see a professional, because you're getting dragged lower and lower, and those intrusive thoughts will get louder and louder, and your body and your mind will become more and more disconnected from you. And this isn't something you have to do forever. You don't have to be in counseling forever. You need to be with a strong counselor who will give you some direct tools, some direct homework assignments, and who will slowly help you rebuild human connection. And if you're married, if you've got a long-term partner somewhere, bring them along with you. If you've got kids that are old enough to digest some of this, bring them along with you. You need people in your life. You cannot do this alone. One thing you can do right now, Patrick, or anyone else watching this video, before you go to counseling is this. I want you to write 3 letters to your dad. And I want you to start the letters with, Dear Dad. In letter number 1, I want you to tell your dad what an awesome man and husband and father he was. I want you to tell him the things that you learned from him, why you thought he was great, and why you're so grateful that he's your dad. In letter number 2, I want you to write him a letter that's an angry letter. Here's what I wish you had done better, Dad. Here's what you didn't teach me. Here's what I don't know about how to relate to people I love, how to be vulnerable, how to change jobs midlife. I want you to write him a letter that tells him how he could have done a better job. And letter number 3, I want this to be a freeing letter. I want you to feel like a bird, like a butterfly, where you're letting this go. And you're going to write him a letter that says, Dear Dad, here's the man I am becoming. Here's the father, husband, co-worker, business owner. Here's the legacy you have left in me. I want you to let your dad know who you are. What are the thoughts that drive you? What are the things that make you laugh? What are the things that bring you joy? And what are the things you're going to pass along to the next generation of Patricks who come along after you? I want you to take your time on these 3 letters and let him know how grateful you are for him. Here's the frustrations and challenges you have with him. And these are things you've never got to tell him. And number 3, write him a letter of joy. Write him a letter about the things that he would be so excited to see if he'd be around for another 15, 20, 30 years. These 3 letters will become gifts to you, Patrick, because this will be your first step in not trying to crush and defeat anxiety, not trying to power through it, but submitting to it, listening to it, recognizing the alarm system that it is, and checking out your ecosystem, checking out your room around you and seeing what's on fire, what you need to put out, where you're lonely, where you're disconnected, and where you can plug back in and become the coworker, partner, parent, whatever, dog owner that you're going to become. Patrick, you're a good man, dude. Outstanding. I'm glad to know there are men like you walking around who want to change their hearts and who want to get well and who are willing to put in the hard work to do it. For more information, I've got an article that I just wrote on johndelony.com about anxiety. There's an anxiety checklist on there. Go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe. Send this to all your friends and your grandparents and some weirdos that you pen pal on the Facebooks or whatever, dude. I will talk to you soon. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. All the after school special stuff is Zach Moore's phone. See you later.